1, 2,
3,
4,
5, 6.
Hi, my name is Kim Vasquez. If you turn on your TV, and you will see a range of news coverage. Today on Good Morning America, discussions range from the upcoming marriage of Prince William and Kate, but there's a much heavier cloud looming over the news because today, April 8, 2011, President Obama and Congress will have to come up with an agreement on the budget for the 2011 fiscal year, or there will be a temporary government shutdown. Just as it seems the U.S. is finally climbing out of a very deep hole due to the shutdown, it leaves Americans worried about how this is going to affect them. If a shutdown occurs, what would stay open and what would not? And the answer is, we don't know it for certain until it happens. In previous shutdowns, national parks would be closed and District of Columbia tourist sites such as museums and national malls, but defining essential can be subjective. In 1995, a shutdown hotline called the National Institute of Health Concerns Disease weren't answered. Air traffic controllers were essential, but the State Department stopped processing visa and passports. So if you're planning a trip anytime soon, if there's a shutdown, I would cancel it. Social Security, people receiving Social Security checks would still receive their payments, but new enrollees might see a delay in benefits. In 1995, the shutdown seniors' Medicaid payments flowed as usual, and doctors and hospitals expect the same to occur. Mail delivery and post office operations should continue as usual because the Postal Service operates with its own funding stemming from stamps and postage fees. Personnel deemed, as far as for military and homeland security, personnel deemed essential for national security would stay on the job, whether it's in Afghanistan along with border control or at the airport security checkpoint. But there's some very big concerns about possible delay in payment at all to military personnel. Even more concerns if no essential personnel will be reimbursed for their payment at all. Even though during 1995 the shutdown, all workers were fully reimbursed. This is not the same shutdown as in 1995. Republican Warren said it's highly unlikely they will ever be reimbursed. So if this goes on for 2 to 3 weeks, it can have a very big impact on the federal employees' ability to make mortgage payments, car payments, and this can be very serious. ABC 13 will be showing interviews this evening on possible effects by the shutdown, and you can see the interviews at abc13.com. Americans will still need to file their taxes on April 18th. The Internal Revenue Service said they will process electronic checks, but processing paper checks would be delayed by the shutdown. In 1995 through 1996, closures impacted only 284,000 people, federal employees. Today, it's estimated that 800,000 or more will be affected. Are shutdowns common, you might ask? There's been 6 shutdowns between 1977 and 1980. An additional 9 occurred between the fiscal years of 1981 and 1996. The most recent shutdown was in the mid-December of 1995 and it stayed until early January 1996. You may be asking, how long does this last? Shutdowns in 1997 and 1980s range from 3 days to 17 days. According to Congress survey, a 5-day shutdown occurred in November 1995, and shutdowns stretched from mid-December to January in 1995 to 1996 and lasted 21 days. This is the longest one in history. What are we hoping to accomplish? The White House and the Congress leader are working on dealing that would slash about $33 billion from the federal budget, including $10 billion already cut to other short-term measure amounts. And this is the largest reduction in the U.S. history. The White House and Congress leaders are working on dealing with the Several Tea Party backed Republicans continue to favor the House of Representatives measures that would cut $61 billion spent. House Speaker John Bohan may turn to modern Democrats to help pass the compromise to the House, but such movement could affect Republicans' votes, and Republicans can vote against it. President Obama said on Friday that Friday would be the highly irresponsible for a forced government shutdown, and urges a side to quickly strike a deal. Here's a short clip on the very heated debate.
Talking about, including those fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, could see their paychecks interrupted. Tax return could be stalled if you haven't filed yet. And for federal workers, during the 2 government shutdowns in the 1990s, hundreds of thousands of them were sent home. That's what this all means.
In 2008, the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service outlined the effects government shutdowns have on the economy. But in an interview on MSNBC, correspondent Dan Stone says a shutdown is not as bad as it sounds.
A good way to put it is about half of the government shuts down. One of the key differences here, OMB is going to make the determinations about what is essential and what's not. Social Security checks will still be going out, but the people who answer the calls from people who have questions about their Social Security checks will probably not be considered essential, at least for the week or two of a shutdown that's looming here.
What isn't going to operate right now, it looks like anything related to tourism is going to be taking a hit here. We're talking about museums, parks, national monuments, visa and passport applications.
And Fox News contributor Andrea Tinteris agrees the effects of the shutdown will be minimal and says, quote, bring on the shutdown.
I don't think a lot happens. I mean, we talked about this. Unless you want to go to a national park, not a lot's going to happen. People are going to continue to get their checks. The post office is self-funded, so you're still going to be able to go to the post office. Nothing really major. Now, it might take a short hit on consumer confidence. You look back, what happened during the Clinton shutdown? Yep. Not a lot.
But a writer for PBS says people are forgetting there are slight differences between 1995 and now. Namely, several federal organizations that weren't around before, like the Department of Homeland Security and the Transportation Security Administration. A House rule requires legislation be made public 3 days before a vote. That means Congress has until Wednesday afternoon to find a budget solution before the current resolution expires midnight Friday. For Newsy.com, I'm Jennifer.
So, as you can see, no one really knows what the outcome will be until midnight tonight. As far as how this will impact our crippling economy, no one will know until it happens. It's a very heated debate on both sides for people, and it does happen there. If it does happen, it will leave most Americans feeling more anxious about their economy's future. Thank you very much. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes. Will this affect veterans' disability pay and the GI Bill?
I was told that when I called the VA benefits yesterday afternoon that they're not predicting that it will affect, but they're not for sure, and they're hurrying up and trying to get things in order so like that they can make sure people aren't missing their pay.
Will a shutdown affect our tax returns?
There's no for sure answer if it's going to. Like I said, they won't know until it happens, but most likely it will.
He says, where can I see a reliable coverage on the government shutdown?
You can tune into your local ABC 13 news coverage. They've had really reliable and accurate coverage. You can also watch it on CNN.com and also watch CNN News on your local cable channel. Thank you guys very much.
Sweet.